What was James Churchward really doing when he wrote he was visiting the Rishi and revealing ancient knowledge? The answer is in the documents, and the documents are unambiguous. James Churchward, Tea Planter, Section 1, The Man. James Churchward was born on the 28th of February 1851 in Bridestow, Devon. The 1851 census records him as an infant, son of Henry Churchward, land agent and farmer. By 1861, aged 10, he was living with his grandfather in Oakhampton, the very name he would later give to one of his Ceylon estates. By 1871, he was 21 years old, working as a banker's clerk in Croydon, a young man of modest means, with no military record, no regimental posting, and no documented connection to India or its temples. Then, in December of that year, everything changed. He married Mary Julia Stevens, whose father, Alexander Stevens, was a coffee planter of Ceylon. The connection to the island was immediate and direct. His new wife had been born in Colombo. Ceylon was in her blood. And within 6 weeks of their wedding, James Churchward was on a ship headed there. Section 2. The Arrival. The Overland Ceylon Observer recorded his arrival precisely. On the 24th of January 1872, the passenger list of the P&O steamer Delhi carried this entry: Mr. and Mrs. Churchward, arriving from England. He was 21 years old, newly married, and he was ready to begin his life as a tea planter. Ceylon received the Churchwards quickly. By October of that same year, the Observer's Domestic Occurrences column carried this notice: At Paragala Estate, Gampola, October 9th. Mary Julia, wife of J. Churchward, Esquire, of a son. James Churchward was now a father, on a Ceylon estate, in the Highlands. He was not stationed at a military barracks. He did not spend years studying ancient symbols. He was a young planter, raising a family, working the land. Section 3. The Planter. The 1878 Planting Directory for India and Ceylon is the definitive professional register of the colonial planting world. It is not a newspaper. It is not a passenger list. It is the official record of who owned and managed the estates of Ceylon, and it names James Churchward 3 times. Oakhampton Estate, Kookaloo Corrale. Proprietor, J. Churchward. Resident Manager, J. Churchward. 188 acres, 170 under cultivation. Post Town, Rakwana. Hatherley Estate, Sabaragamuwa. Proprietor, J. Churchward. 289 acres. Post Town, Rakwana. And in the alphabetical roll of planters, Churchward, James, Planter, Hatherley, Rakwana. 3 entries, 2 estates, nearly 500 acres, 1 man. Hatherley Estate still stands in the hills above Rakwana. The bungalow looks out over the same highland waterfall it did when Churchward lived there. The estate sign still stands among mossy boulders and tropical forest. The same name, in the same place, that the 1878 directory assigned to James Churchward, planter. Section 4. The Life. The Overland Ceylon Observer tracked the Churchward family across a full decade of colonial life. In January 1873, Mr. and Mrs. Churchward and child arrived back in Ceylon. In February 1875, Mr. J. Churchward, Mrs. Churchward and infant departed on the BISS Africa, the movements of a planting family travelling with the seasons. In December 1879, the Observer placed him firmly in the heart of colonial Ceylon society at the Calico Fancy Ball at the Assembly Rooms. Mr. James Churchward attended as Kawasji Jahangirji, Mrs. Churchward as a Spanish lady. These are not the social engagements of a soldier on campaign or a spiritual seeker in a remote temple. These are the evenings of a prosperous planter in his community. And as late as August 1881, the Weekly Ceylon Observer noted, Mr. Churchward of Rakwana, and Kukulu Korale is said to have returned to the island via mail steamer, Rakwana. Kukulu Korale. The paper named his districts. The island still knew him by his land. When he finally returned to England for good, the 1881 census recorded his occupation with quiet finality. East India planter. Not soldier, planter. The verdict. 3 independent streams of evidence, the census record, the newspaper columns of the Overland Ceylon Observer, and the 1878 Planting Directory, all point to the same conclusion, and none of them contradict each other. James Churchward was not in the British military. He was not a guest of ancient Rishi in a temple. He was a tea planter in the highlands of Ceylon, with nearly 500 acres of land, a colonial bungalow, a family, and a decade of documented life in Sabragamua. The evidence is not circumstantial. It is not incomplete. It is a chain of contemporaneous documents, written by census takers, newspaper editors, and the compilers of the most authoritative planting register of the colonial era. And every link in that chain points to the same man, in the same place, doing the same thing. James Churchward was a tea planter. The evidence is complete.